What's up, y'all? It's Dallas. So today we are going to be talking a little bit about the recruiters that I interviewed with in this whole process that is moving to South Korea and finding jobs and all that whole process. I'm going to make other videos about the other parts of this process because it's very multi-step. But from get-go, the first thing you have to do is decide whether or not you want to do public school or private school. And then if you chose private school like I did, you have to typically go through recruiters to get interviews with schools. So today we're going to be talking about the top 5 recruiting companies that I liked out of my experiences. So right from the get-go, it is really important that you guys know that this is not this live-all, be-all, holy grail of recruiters. Okay, there are a ton of recruiting companies that I did not work with. In the end, I worked with 18 of them. But again, this is not the holy grail of them. There are tons of them that I did not get a chance to work with, or I didn't hear back from, or whatever the case may have been. So there are plenty of other recruiters that you can go through that you may have different experiences with. And yeah, this is gonna be the top 5 of the ones that I worked with and that I had good experiences with, because there are a lot of them that I did not have great experiences with. If you want me to make a video about that one, drop a little comment below and let me know if that's something you guys want to know. But to save time and so you're not watching a 30-minute video, I figured I'd do the top 5 and hopefully you get something out of it. So starting from number 5 on my list, I put down Korea. Korea is a major recruiting company for hagwons in South Korea. A really big one. It's a well-known company and a lot of people use them, and a lot of people get jobs working with them as well. Personally, for me, the reason I put them at the bottom of my list, again, this is not bottom of my list out of 18, this is top 5. So this is a lot of recruiting companies that I've worked with. This is number 5. For this one, I found the beginning of the process with them. They were super informative and made sure that I was aware of the entire process. I had already known a little bit, so it wasn't like I needed a whole lot of information about the whole process to begin with, but it was nice, to get some information from a recruiter on exactly how things were going to go. I set up my interview with my recruiter, and from the get-go, they sent me a couple schools that they send you job profiles of the schools, and they ask you if you're interested in them, and then if you're not interested in, you just tell them no. And then if you are interested, you put like a little star rating, and you put some comments about them, about whether or not, why you're interested in them, and how, on your ranking list about what's good about the schools. So at the beginning, I thought they did a really great job of finding schools that were in my preference. Ultimately, they send your resume to the school, and then the school has to accept your resume or not, and they accept to do an interview. I only had 2 come out of the close to 20 schools that they sent me. But at the beginning, like I said, at the beginning it was all fit towards my preferences. Towards the end, I didn't hear a lot from my recruiter, and it was just kind of on the downslope of personalness. But it wasn't very personal. She was just sending me job recruiting or job listings just to get me a job. And like I said, I worked with her for several months, but I ultimately didn't end up going to the school that they sent me. But yeah, so the next one on my list is Gone to Korea. Gone to Korea, I had a pretty decent experience with 2. My recruiter was really nice all the way from the interview all the way through until I had accepted another job with another recruiting company that I worked with. And when I told her that I found another school, she was so nice about it. She was like, "Oh, congratulations. I hope you enjoy your time in Korea." And like I said, throughout the whole process, they were super sweet, and they're making sure that I was aware of every single step along the way. They work with 2 major franchises of hagwons. It's Cheongdam and Avalon. So those are the 2 ones that I had went with through her. But they do work with other schools I know of, but it wasn't a whole lot. It was just from the beginning, it was just those 2 major franchises. But I really liked working with her. She was super nice, and I think that, if you don't mind working for a big franchise, then it's a really good company to go with. The next one, number 3 on my list, is travel and teach. I really, really liked this company. My recruiter was so informative throughout the entire process. By the time I had connected with him and he had emailed me back, I had already purchased all of my documents and I had them lined up, ready to send off to my schools, and I was completely done with them based on the information I got from other companies. This one, his company required a lot more strictness. It was more towards, if you were going towards like the EPIC route, it's kind of the same documents that you needed for EPIC. And I had already purchased all my documents and they didn't line up with what he wanted or what the company wanted. And that's why I didn't end up going further with them. But whenever I sent my documents to him, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is not the documents that we wanted or that we need, so you're gonna have to get them redone if you want to continue working." So if you go with the documents that they send you from the very beginning, you're not gonna have any problems with any other recruiting companies. But I had already purchased my documents and I didn't want to fork out another $200 for them. So yeah. Then next one was number 2 on my list is OK Recruiting. I haven't said any of my recruiters' names yet, but this guy, his name is Jay. And the only reason I say his name is because his name is all over the company website. Every single person, every single review on their website was, "Oh my God, my recruiter Jay, my recruiter Jay, my recruiter Jay." And I was like, okay, why? Like, what is so fancy about this Jay guy? So when I met with them, I didn't really meet with him. He set up, we did an interview, we interviewed back and forth, emailed back and forth. And I think there was more of a language barrier than there was with other recruiters that I worked with, because the emails themselves were not as like, "Oh, how are you doing?" It was more of like a get down to business, this is what you need, this is, exactly. But they were very short sentences, so I think it was more of a language barrier than anything else. But the schools that he set me up with were great. I never felt uncomfortable with any of the schools that he worked with. And I felt that he really, did a good job of connecting me with schools that were not called the slave labor program. Okay, if you know, you know. So I, from the schools that he set me up with, the only reason I didn't choose that school is because the pay was lower than I wanted, and I didn't want to go over to a new country broke, obviously. So that's the only reason why I didn't choose that school. But the school was great, the director was great, and he, like I said, he does a really good job making sure you're connected with schools that actually give a care. So after this long video, number 1 is teach ESL. I absolutely adored working with them. They took a little bit longer time to get me schools. I only interviewed with 2 schools that they set me up with, but I absolutely adored every single school they sent me. In the end, I ended up signing with both schools that they sent me. The only reason I didn't go with the first one was because the director of the school didn't accept my state level apostle on my FBI check. I had already sent over my signed contract, and then the director was like, "Nope, retraction." Okay, so that's the only reason why I didn't go with that school. I love both schools. The second school they ended up setting me up with, which is a couple weeks later down the process, which can feel like it's taking forever, and you're like, "Oh my God, why are they not setting me up with the school?" And you start to panic. I promise you, they are doing everything they can to make sure that they are connecting you with schools that are great, absolutely great. My interviews with both of the schools they sent me were like I was talking to family instead of talking to an interviewer or talking to a school director. I thoroughly enjoyed both interviews that I worked with them. The second one was almost an hour and a half long, and I know that sounds crazy because other interviews I had were like 15 minutes, but it was they really made sure that I was aware of the culture difference, and making sure I was informed that I was going to a new country and it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be really rewarding. And they would email me back. Like, the two people that I emailed back and forth with were Dan and Aggie. Dan, I'm pretty sure, is the president of the company, and Aggie is his wife. I keep mixing up my words. I emailed back and forth with Aggie more so than Dan, but when I did email them, it was like within a couple hours they emailed me back every single time, unless it was like in the middle of the night. So but they were like, I absolutely adored working with them, and ultimately that's the company that set me up with my job, and I'm super excited for it. But yeah, I think that's, you know, my top five. Five. So like I said from the beginning, this is not by any means the only recruiting companies out there, and everyone's gonna have a different experience. I'm a different person than you are, so it's gonna be different for every single person. Just take that into consideration. If you didn't have a great experience with these recruiters, then feel free to leave a comment for the other people watching these, so they can have, you know, some input as well. Like I said, these are just my experiences with these recruiters, and I hope, you know, you got a little bit out of it. But yeah, let me know if you guys want me to do a video on recruiters that I did not have a great experience with, because that, honey, is probably a little more than 5. Feel free to leave a little thumbs up and press that little subscribe button. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Yeah, thanks. Bye.